Hello YouTube, Mac here with Blades, Guns, and Fun with another knife review for you. Excuse me. Today I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite knives. This was the first sort of high-end knife, I guess you could say, that I've ever bought and used. And it really is a whopper of a knife. It is just totally awesome. I mean, you look at that knife and it just exudes badassness. But anyway, this is the Zero Tolerance by Kershaw 0350 ST. Partially serrated blade. Has a 3 1/4 inch S30V stainless steel blade with a what they call tungsten DLC coating. That stands for tungsten diamond-like carbon coating to supposedly make it smoother, less drag friction when cutting, and it also is supposed to increase the hardness of the steel, make it hold up a little bit better. So far, I haven't really used this knife very hard, but I've definitely put some miles on it, cut some small branches, and use it for everyday box cutting, opening boxes, cutting paper, whatever. And I mean, it's still, you can look at that blade, it still looks pretty much brand new. There's a few little scratches just on that steel part, but the finish of that black tungsten coating is nearly flawless, other than a little bit of dust on it there. But yeah, you can see it's held up pretty well. It has G10 scales, which I really like, but I gotta say I'm really picky about G10. And this, of all the G10 handled knives I have, this is probably my favorite. This is very nicely textured G10. It's got just enough that it's good and grippy. It's not going to slip out of your hand, but it's not so aggressive that it tears the crap out of your pocket and becomes uncomfortable to use after a while. I would say really Zero Tolerance nailed it with this. I mean, this is definitely the best G10 I've ever used. It has a semi flow-through construction. You can see there. There is a spacer back here, but still pretty easy to clean. I've got some dust and whatnot in there, you could probably see, but again, it hasn't affected the knife at all. Still works great. Some really nice thick liners on it. Nice jimping on the back thumb ramp here. I like the style of the thumb ramp. It's not it's not too much, but it's definitely, it keeps your thumb where it's supposed to be. The ergonomics on this knife are really incredible. It really isn't that much to look at. It doesn't look like it'd be that great. There's no contours this way. It's very flat. But man, I tell you, you put that in your hand and it is just rock solid. And between that, the big blade, nice long handles, you can get a good grip on it and still have some of that sticking out the back. Just really an awesome knife. No finger choil up here, but the way this is cut out on the blade, you can also put your thumb up here. So if you're doing some precision cutting, that'll help with that a little bit. Or you can get back here for a really good stabbing or thrusting or good swipe cutting. Really just a totally awesome knife. Some of the specs, I think I said it has a 3 1/4 inch blade. Close length overall is 4.625 inches. Overall length open is 7 3/4 inches. And it comes in at 5.6 ounces, which is a little bit heavy, but it's still not terrible. This isn't one of my most common EDC knives, but I do carry it here and there. Mostly the reason being, this isn't a great knife to carry with like dress pants or scrub pants or other kind of slacks that are more lightweight, because it is a little bit heavier and it's sort of big. The profile of it is kind of big. But for jeans, or if you're going to be out in the field, or if you're somebody that works outside, I'd say you really can't beat this knife. MSRP on it is $175. I picked this up brand new, but through eBay for $100 even, free shipping. So that's about the best price I've seen for it. But you know, you can count on spending about $100 for this. It has what Zero Tolerance and Kershaw call the Speed Safe assisted opening. Nice large, I don't know, I guess trigger thing there. So, you know, if you have gloves on or something, you can still catch this. You know, you can take it out of your pocket and just use the very tip of your finger. It's very easy to use. But my preference when carrying, I found that I would sort of draw it out of my pocket and I would just kind of grab this with the middle of my finger and just give it a little bit. I mean, you barely have to, I mean, it's just enough pressure that it's not really going to come open in your pocket, but it's not hard to do at all. I found that it is kind of hard to deploy using the thumb stud because the thumb stud is real close in here to the G10 scales. So it's kind of hard to get your thumb in there and get it started, but it is definitely doable. But really, why would you ever use the thumb stud when you can just do that? So again, it could be a great EDC knife for somebody who works outside, or a good carrying knife for in the field and things like that, because you do have a nice sizable blade in a folding knife and it is solid as a rock. But for my purposes, it's not the greatest EDC knife, just because if I pull this thing out at work and whip it open like that, it tends to scare people a little bit. I mean, like I said, it's a badass looking knife. I'm not one for generalizations. I wouldn't say that everyone who carries this knife is a badass, but almost certainly if I was out somewhere and I saw you pull this knife out and use it to cut something open, I would assume that you're probably a badass. So, no, but in all seriousness, it is, you know, it's your typical all black, you know, for people who aren't knife people, this could be a little bit scary. So I don't carry it every day for work and things like that, but it is an awesome knife. Torque screws all around. You can see the two holes here and here, as well as on this side in the pocket clip. So it is a quad carry system. You can carry it tip up, tip down, right or left hand carry, which is really nice. I have taken the clip off and put some Loctite on it. I think the knife shipped tip down carry, so I had to change the clip around for tip up carry. A really nice solid pocket clip. It's really strong. It's black, so it isn't real showy. So it is a good, very good tactical knife. It has a lanyard hole here. I don't know if you can see. There we go. But it's really small. I think you'd have a hard time getting 550 paracord through there. I'm sure it could be done, but it's kind of a small lanyard hole. I haven't really tried, but I'm sure you could get something through there. But anyhow, nice pivot adjustment, so you can speed it up, slow it down, whatever you want. The serrations I'd like to talk about. I know this video is probably getting kind of long here, but the serrations are one of my favorite things of this knife. If you're not familiar with the serrations that Zero Tolerance and some Kershaw knives use, you need to check this out. I know there's a lot of guys that aren't a big fan of serrations. I will say one thing. These wouldn't be the easiest to sharpen because they're small, but they're nicely grooved. So if you had a sharpening system that had a serration stone, or even one of those fold out tapered diamond rods that you can use for serrations, I think it really wouldn't be that hard to sharpen them up. But you know, unless you're doing a lot of cutting with them, it would take a while for them to daw it anyway, especially with the S30V steel. But I love that rounded, you know, you don't have any big teeth sticking out there to grab on and catch on things and make it hard. I mean, these serrations are perfect for cutting through rope and things like that. I mean, because they just, being that rounded edge, they just slide across whatever you're doing, but they are, I mean, really razor sharp. They are so sharp. So, I mean, they can cut through a lot of material with a lot of ease. So I really like that. That blade shape, I'm not sure what Zero Tolerance calls that exactly, but it's awesome. I mean, I love this swedge at the top, the nice round belly. Nice thick point. Pretty blunt. So, I mean, this is a tough knife. You're going to have a hard time breaking this thing. Like I said, I think you could really put this through a lot. Take a look at that liner lock. I know there's a lot of guys out there that aren't a big fan of liner locks, but I mean, look at the size of that thing. I honestly don't know that I have ever owned a knife with a liner lock that thick. So as far as liner locks go, that thing is pretty solid. I haven't actually measured this myself yet, but let's see here. See exactly how thick that sucker is. A little over 1/10 of an inch. So, I mean, I know it doesn't sound like much, but yeah, 0.177 inches. So, I'm sorry, 0.77 inches. Yeah, that was my mistake. But regardless, 0.077 inches. There we go. Now I got it. But seriously, like, take a look at this and go get one of your cheesy, cheap liner lock knives that you have laying around, which I'm sure if you're watching this video, you probably have a number of them, as do I. And compare that to this. I mean, that sucker is huge. And, I mean, very, very, very solid. And there's no play whatsoever in this blade. And that's even actually after I loosen the pivot a little bit to make it a little bit faster. I mean, really just incredible. Nice jimping down here on the bottom. Not really useful in the grip, but I suppose you could use it as a non-lethal force. Not really any jimping along the bottom of the handle. Like I said, you've got that jimping on the top, which corresponds with some jimping on the blade. So it locks in there nicely, matches up. But really just very awesome. I mean, this knife is just, like I said, it is badass. So if you're on the fence about it, I have nothing bad to say about it other than it is a little bulky. Unless you're a guy that wears jeans and works outside, it's probably not a great everyday carry knife for work. But for play, you can't beat this thing. If you're going to be outside in the yard doing anything, it's a great knife. With a pair of jeans, it's not uncomfortable. Like I said, just with lighter weight pants, it's a little heavy. So, but take that for what it's worth. I guess I got some index cards here. I can do a little cut test. I don't think it's necessary. I've used this knife quite a bit, so it's not nearly as sharp as when I first got it. But S30V, you know, it takes a long time for it to dull. This is still very sharp. The serrations have gotten a lot less use, so they're still probably as sharp as when they came out of the box. But I mean, you can see it cuts with no problem. A little tear there, but and that's effortless. I mean, I'm literally just barely pulling that. So there it is. I'm not going to cut anything else bigger for you on here, any rope or anything, but I assure you this cuts through 550 paracord like it's nothing. I'm sure rope, twine, it would do just as good a job. Does a great job on sticks, kindling, you know, smaller stuff. It's such a solid knife, it wouldn't surprise me at all if you could lay this down on a bigger stick and hit it with a dowel rod. I think it would hold up fine. But I don't like to abuse my folding knives. I mean, it's not really what this is intended for, so I'm not going to do that here. But anyway, I think this video is probably getting a little on the long side, so I'm going to let you go. But again, Kershaw's Zero Tolerance ZT 0350 ST. It's a great knife. I would highly recommend it. So if you have any questions about it, go ahead and comment. below, and I will try to get back with you. So thanks again.